Hello, it's Churniavsky here. Welcome to part 3 of With All Due Respect. I hope you enjoyed the first two. If you watched it, if you haven't, then start at the beginning and move yourself towards part 3, if you don't mind. Otherwise, you won't understand some of it. So, previously I discussed being neurotic, and hopefully now you realise what the influences were. And it has affected so much of my day-to-day work. And in fact, talking of work, I usually ask in the audience when I see somebody, I ask a question like, where do you work? And so I always think hard, if you're sitting at home and you've got a job and you're working, do you remember the form you have to fill out when you first start? The one with your name, address, sex, all that sort of stuff. Well, there's a little box, isn't there? There's a little box, and in the box it says, in case of emergency, contact. Now, most normal people, like you sitting at home watching this, will put your mum, your dad, your wife, your girlfriend, etc. But not me. Look, I'm neurotic. So when I filled out my form for my last job, I put, in case of emergency, contact nearest fucking hospital. It's an emergency. It needs doing. So you'll get a feeling in the next few minutes that I do have this thing for forms. I don't like forms. And I'm sure many of you out there have been to America. And you've had to fill out the forms for America. Now, but how many of you remember the ESTA form? The ESTA, the EST form. You have to fill that out to get into America. More importantly, do you remember the third question? It's a yes or no answer. Do you seek to indulge in genocide, subterfuge, genocide, or terrorism? Yes or no? Now, to be honest, it is already on no, so you should be able to move on, unless you're my daughter's father-in-law, who, while filling his wife's form out, decided to press yes, and she got banned from entering the States. But these things do worry me. I get very, very stressed. In fact, the last time I really got stressed was about a few years ago now, when it was my daughter's wedding and the build-up to all that. It was very, very stressful. And I remember one particular day getting to the office and realising that I hadn't brought my mobile phone. I rang my wife and I said to my wife, I said, can you do me a favour? Could you go to the fridge, look on the third shelf on the right, and see if my mobile phone's there? She says, are you mad? I said, just go and check. So she does. She comes back to the phone. She says, your mobile phone is in the fridge. How did you know? I said, well, I've got to work and I've got a block of butter in my pocket. That was it. That was a sign that I needed some stress relieving. So my wife decided that I should go to a spa. I don't know how many men sitting there watching me into a spa. I know there's probably a lot of ladies who've been to the spa. It's an amazing place. But again, you arrive. What have you got? A form. Yes, another form. One of the questions was, what is your favourite season? Now, how long am I here? Because I thought I was only here for a couple of hours. And they want to know what my favourite season is. So I put football. Don't know how that helps. And we've had lockdown, and that's been quite stressful, hasn't it? And it's been stressful for so many people. And my wife was reading an article the other day, and it said in it that if you walk for 20 minutes a day, it helps your sex life. So she called me in. She said, have you read this article? It says that if you go for a walk for 20 minutes, it's going to be very good for your sex life. I said, don't be so bloody stupid. Who do I know that lives 20 minutes away? Being neurotic also has a different attack on different diseases, like Alzheimer's. Because there's Jewish Alzheimer's. I don't know whether you know this, there's Jewish Alzheimer's. Jewish Alzheimer's is where you forget everything except the guilt. But if you remember when I was talking to you about being neurotic and growing up, There was also another thing that happened to me, and it involved Christmas. Growing up, I was never allowed to have a Christmas tree. We never had a Christmas tree in our house in all the years. And I got married, and I think it's maybe before we had kids, I'm not quite sure. But I remember going to my dad's house. My dad had remarried, and he had at this time a 5-year-old son. And I walk in, and in the hall is this massive Christmas tree. All the years, I'm 30 odd now, all the years I've been wanting a Christmas tree, no. But my son, my brother, has decided he's allowed to have a Christmas tree. So I was questioning my dad, and his wife comes in. She says, Henry, no. It's not a Christmas tree. It's a Hanukkah bush. I said, fuck off. It's a fucking Christmas tree. It's dressed like a Christmas tree. It looks like a Christmas tree. This is why I am so neurotic. Do you remember the days when you used to go to restaurants? I know we're in the middle of a pandemic at the moment, but I haven't been to a restaurant for years. For a long time, I say years, at least a year now. And the last time I went to restaurants, I don't really remember now, that when you look at the menu, you've got V for vegetarian, VG vegan, DF dairy free, GF gluten free, got all these things on it. Well, just before lockdown, I was in this Liverpool brand new restaurant, and I got the menu, and I'm looking down it, and next to every single thing it said FN. So when the waitress came over, I said, could you explain to me what FN means? She said, oh yeah, no problem, lad. Fucking normal. There you go. Come to a Scouse restaurant, you're going to get normal food. I mean, you know, getting old, it does change things as well. You know, like text messages. We all use this expression LOL. Now, normally I ask you guys in the audience, what does LOL know? A lot of you are repeating me and going, yeah, laugh out loud or whatever. Nope. For me, now it's living on laxative. And FML, you're very familiar with FML, I'm sure you are. Yeah, well, today that means fuck my liver. But I've got my own now. DTAF, don't trust the fart. PMP, piss my pants. HGBM, had good bowel movement. And one that I use very regularly, ADS, at doctor's surgery. Oh, but of course, now we're in the pandemic, you know, you can't go to the GP surgery. You have to ring up. So it's now CSD, can't see a doctor. If there's one group of people that really get on my nerves as I get older, are GP receptionists. Now, if there are any of you out there, I apologise, but the ones I've known over the years, bloody nosy. I'm sorry. You go in, you ask to see a doctor, and they want to know what's wrong with you. Well, two things. If I knew what was wrong with me, I wouldn't be here. And second of all, when did you actually qualify to become a doctor? But now it's even harder. Now, as you know, it's even harder now to try and see a doctor. It's almost impossible. They're going to give you a ring back and all this sort of stuff. So I rang up the other day and I said to the receptionist, I said, could I get the doctor to ring me, please? And she went, what is it? I said, well, I'd rather explain to the doctor. It's a bit personal, if you don't mind. Well, you have to tell me, because then I have to work out which doctor it should go to and whether they're going to phone you or not. I said, okay. I said, right, okay. I've got a rash. Oh, she said, okay, fine. Do you have a mobile phone with a camera? I said, yeah. She said, well, send a picture in. The doctor will look at it and give you a ring back. I must admit, I thought it'd be the first time that I could actually send a dick pic and not get into trouble. What do I know? Now, getting older now, you tend to have more invasive therapies when there's something wrong with you. Do any of you had an endoscopy? So the endoscopy is where they put a camera down your throat. A few years ago, I had to go and have an endoscopy, and it was by a new registrar. He'd only been a registrar for a while. He had a consultant watching over him. I have to say, his bedside manner needed a little bit more work on. Because as I was sitting there, and he's walking towards me with this tube, and he says, "Open wide, I'm about to come in your mouth." I'm not really sure that's appropriate talk. And then I've had to have, and I'm sure some of you out there already had it yourselves, a colonoscopy. That's where they look inside your stomach. Now, the actual investigation is not as bad as before the operation. Because before the operation, you have to have something what is called a movie prep. How can I say this delicately to those people with delicate ears? You have to have an empty stomach, literally an empty stomach, nothing in there. You've got to have a clean stomach. And this preparation is basically 2 litres, which when you're drinking this lukewarm liquid is more or less like 32 gallons. How can I explain it to you? If you haven't had it, it's a bit like goat phlegm with a urinal cleaner with a hint of lemon. Yeah, it is disgusting. It is disgusting. It makes you want to go to the toilet in a big, big way. When I read the instructions, being neurotic, you always read the instructions. And the instruction says, you may get a loose, watery bowel movement. You may. That's like saying that if you climb up a ladder and jump off, you may hit the floor. This is a nuclear explosion of the arse. You are sitting on the toilet, you are lifted up. There is so much coming out of you. It is unbelievable. And while you're doing this, you're still having to drink probably another litre of this liquid. I mean, I looked at it, there was stuff in there that I've never ever eaten. I mean, the operation itself was fine. And your stomach is so clean that it is basically, when they're in there looking at with a camera, it is the ultimate selfie. And being a bloke, you know, I had to have, I didn't realise until recently that when you have your prostate checked, I always thought it was one way, you know, with the finger. But apparently not. And I had to go and see this urologist, and she said I had to have a cystoscopy, which is basically where they put a Nikon camera with a zoom lens down your winkle. Yeah. I asked her, would I be put out? Would my winkle be made numb? She said, well, yeah, little prick. I went, no need to be personal. She said, no, we'll make sure you're all right. Now, before you go to that, you have to have a pre-op. And it's where they literally shave around the area. And this nice young nurse was there, and she was only just qualified. And she's shaving around there. And there's a little bit of debris at the end. And she turned to me and she said, I'm sorry, we're going to have to blow that. And I thought, wow, on the NHS, it's amazing. I wish I'd gone private. Anyway, a few days later, I'm ready for the operation. I am not looking forward to this. First of all, it's a female consultant. I'm lying on the slab in a gown. The nurse is next to me, trying to talk to me, trying to keep me calm. Oh yes, and the consultants are 6 trainees, students to watch as well, as she grabs my cock. And she starts to flush what I can only explain to you is Niagara Falls being hosed down, pushed down, down my cock. All I want to do is pee. And what she says to me is, can you wiggle your toes? Next thing, there's a steel rod going in with a camera, and I am now looking at my prostate on the screen. It is the most hurtful thing ever, especially when she takes it out. And if that wasn't the end of it, I had to have the prostate checked a week later, but this time it was with the finger. So, and it was a different consultant. So I'm lying on the slab with my gown, if you can picture it. The gown open at the back, got my knees up to my chest, I've got my arse hanging out, and the consultant comes in and he's behind me, and I can hear him putting the glove on, getting the lube, and he starts. He says, "Henry, just relax, just relax." And he starts with his finger in my bum hole. And there are tears coming down. There are tears coming down for any of you that have had it. And he says, "Relax, Henry, relax. Don't worry about the erection." I said, "I haven't got one." He says, "I wasn't talking about you." I tried to relax up until I realised he had both his hands on my shoulders. He then stops and then decides to insert 2 fingers. You should always check the size of your urologist's hands as well. 2 fingers. And as he's putting them in, I'm going, "What the are you doing?" He goes, "I'm going for a second opinion." And as he stopped, took his glove off, I'm lying there, he walks out. As he walks out, this nurse walked past him. And she came up to me, and she uttered those 5 words that will haunt me forever. "Who the fuck was that?" Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed my 3 little shows for Space UK and the Edinburgh Fringe. Just before I go, I would like to tell you, I know this is free, but I'm making a plea to you. All my comedy I'm doing free of charge, and any money I get is going to a charity called Laugh for Life charity. It's a comedy charity, and it's for mental health awareness, and I'm raising funds for young minds, for young people. It's a very personal venture that I'm doing. I have got a video, I have got a website, which you will see below what the website is and the name of the charity. If you go on my website, please, whatever you want to give, please give, because all the money will go to this charity. This is very, very important. This is so dear to me. It means so much to me, and I really, really hope that you enjoyed the last 3 shows. I hope to see you maybe in Edinburgh in August, when I've got my new solo show, and I look forward to seeing you. Listen, thank you very much. My name is Henry Churniavsky. Thank you very much.